CX work never stays still. You adjust forecasts, rework processes, and rethink decisions faster than most people realize. That's why I asked leaders across the industry one simple question. What actually moved the needle for you this year? Their answers reveal the patterns worth paying attention to as we all step into 2026. Check this out.
I have learned many a lesson in 2025. I think back to the Mark Schaefer quote of the most human company wins, and I think that there is a resurgence of that concept. But the lesson that I feel like I've learned this year is that the most collaborative company wins.
Enterprises seem to be underestimating just how unforgiving today's consumer has become and how fast they have to act on data at the very moment of interaction just to stay in the game.
My big takeaway and the thing I'm carrying into the next year is just listen to support leaders, listen to people who have seen it and done it.
We look back on 2025, the clear CX lesson I think is this. AI only works when the purpose is very sharp. When the rubber really hits the road with AI, success isn't about how much AI you actually deploy. It's about whether or not you know exactly why you're doing it. The use case needs to be crystal.
And I think what I've learned, and I'm excited to put into practice, is that the AI transformation journey, while exciting, is also scary. And there's a lot of variations across, all of these kind of companies with where they are in that journey. And it's not right or wrong, it's not good or bad. Everyone has to kind of choose their own adventure and their own path.
Most people don't want AI necessarily, they just want their problem solved. And I think that's the biggest insight in 2025.
The best customer experience comes from those people who aren't burned out, confused by the tools, or fighting those processes.
Now more than ever, you want to be talking a lot to your customer and doing it in the most efficient way possible.
It's the importance of internalizing your CX by externalizing visuals that will help you see the customer experience journey map.
I think we need to drive clarity. Clarity on the sense of we need to make our space a little bit more prescriptive. And we need to say, instead of just dumping entry points of products into this space, we need to start sewing things together in a different way.
AI could do certain things pretty well, and they could do them better, faster, cheaper than a human. But you can't just set it and forget it. You can't just let the AI go off and do something. It needs to be managed. And so our mission statement is we're using AI to enhance human-to-human interactions.
With voice AI reaching human parity, in 2026, I think it's going to be very hard to distinguish between a human and an AI voice assistance experience over the phone in 2026. As that happens, you can really reserve the human touch for those ultra valuable interactions and open up so much more capacity if AI is handling 50%, 60, 70% of your phone calls at the front.
Think about assistance before automation. How do you make each agent better? You are going to get a ton of the value of fully automating through AI, but none of the backlash. So how do we make our humans superhuman? That's where I think people should be starting with AI.
The biggest customer experience lesson that I have learned is that the data is really hard to get your arms around.
And one of the biggest learnings is adoption.
Find one part of either your employee experience or your customer experience, because the one impacts the other. So you can start with either. What's the biggest pain point you experience either working for us or working with us right now? And just go solve that one problem.
It's a really straight shot statement to say that the thing that we need to do in 2026 is focus on that consultative partnership as part of any engagement, right? And that means a few different things, right? Like it means working with brands to figure out what that strategy actually means to them, because everybody is seeing technology whiz by at a mile a minute and can't keep up, right? It is impossible to track updates between, never mind, last week and this week. I'm thinking yesterday and today.
I would say one of the things that's actually really surprised me is I feel like buyers and implementers of AI have gotten much savvier. And I think that there's still this narrative that's kind of hanging around out there, which is an old narrative. And that narrative is, watch out buying AI because your people, you might not have the resources to implement it well, and they're going to go off and do a crazy science experiment and not be able to properly set up these prompts and configure it. I think that may have been the case previously, but now the buyers we're talking to and the actual customers and the project managers who are implementing AI, they know their stuff.
I think if 25 was the year of the hype, 26 will be the year of the actual examples.
I think 26 is about making the shift from project-based AI. That was a huge proponent, testing and trying and failing and succeeding and failing, to more the autonomous AI with the human in the loop.
2025 was a huge year in CX. I think a number of organizations were doing different proof of concepts, pilots across generative AI, agentic AI. There's been a swirl of new technologies, capabilities, approaches to traditional CX that everybody's been experimenting with. And to me, that's sort of the most exciting time to be in our industry. What it's also done, from my perspective, is created a lot of confusion around service design. And so my big lesson from 2025 is exactly that. Regardless of what technology, what innovation, which new ways of working become available to us, having a proper service design and understanding how these technologies fit in a broader ecosystem that delivers on behalf of the organization, for their customers, and for the employees that are there to serve the customers is absolutely paramount.
In 26, I think that folks need to expand the breadth of their horizon for what can be potentially possible with AI.
I'm strategizing with each one of my customers next year to try to figure out how can we not only expand it with them and provide our services throughout the organization, but really how can they help us and we help them.
2025, I think slowly we are moving towards a world which is completely automated and efficient but lacks empathy.
One of the words that we heard this year a lot was empathy. We need to get away from the emotional language that we call empathy, that scripted language, and really think about what we're talking about when we talk about trying to achieve empathy in customer experience.
I think the traditional CX metrics that we've been relying on for so long, and in some cases maybe using as a crutch or hiding behind, they're not going to cut it anymore in 2026. I think that the year ahead is going to be more and more about human connection. And not just human connection, but thinking about what we as CX professionals are doing to drive value for the businesses that we serve.
I think the biggest lesson learned in CX is that we have to recognize that what our organizations expect of us as CX leaders is just as diverse as what our customers expect of our organizations.
While many of us are on some sort of a technology and AI journey, and we should be, that doesn't mean that every problem requires a high-tech or an AI solution. And in fact, oftentimes it's not appropriate. It's not the right tool for the particular problem.
Especially from a CX standpoint, I think we fall into this trap of feeling left out because we're seen as different from the rest of the organization who looks at certain things, but we need the organization just as much as the organization needs us. So we can't kind of be on our high horse and say, oh, well, if it doesn't impact these, if it's not all about the people, then it doesn't matter. But without the business, the people don't have a job either. So we have to understand that we have to be working towards the same goals. We have to be able to translate both ways the work that needs to be done to create an experience that supports the product, that supports the organization.
I think when I really look back on 2025 and the main learning, not just for me, but for you, Jet, it's really this awakening to the idea that we've been thinking about customer experience wrong. And what I mean by that is customer experience is about so much more than contact center as a service and the interactions. But you've seen over the last decade, all the CCaaS players, all the CRM players are just latching on to CX. CX is everything from like how you rank in Google search to ads to those initial touch points. And as organizations, we often forget about that.
There is a need for that CX observability. And so I honestly, personally take on that responsibility to share that good message. I think the other part really is just going to come down to just choosing who I work with and finding more people who have really unique stories and helping to tell those stories, because I think for a while now, there's been a very set cadence around content and what's being told and the story being told. And someone gets on and we talk, it's a bit of a back and forth talking heads kind of thing, and everyone kind of has the same message. And so I know there's some unique stories out there, so I'm on a mission in 2026 to find some of those unique stories and shine a light on those as well.